Finally today, let's end by talking about digital media again while staying on the COVID situation in a nice little combo package. If you've been following COVID as a story at all, then you've probably heard of the COVID tracking project, which is basically the source for all of the data relating to COVID numbers, new cases, hospitalizations, deaths, etc. I was not aware of this, but it turns out that the COVID tracking project was an entirely volunteer project set up to make up for the fact that early on, we couldn't get reliable numbers on the spread of the virus from anywhere, including from governments. And the fact that the COVID tracking project is still going is maybe down to the fact that they remain the best, if not the only source of data and facts around COVID-19. So for all the times we bemoan people not coming up with big solutions these days, solutions to fit a moment in history, or journalism being broken, maybe we should take our hats off to these actual heroes who did the thing, who didn't ask permission, didn't ask questions, they just built. Quoting Bloomberg, "This critical repository of health information started improbably with 3 journalists, a data scientist/biotech investor, and a couple of spreadsheets. Back in late February, the coronavirus was still a sleeper threat in the U.S., with new cases popping up in 1s and 2s around the country and signs of hidden spread on the West Coast. Officials in the Trump administration held briefings touting the government's rapid rollout of testing, but they couldn't answer one important question: how many tests were being done? Alexis Madrigal, a technology writer at The Atlantic, and Robinson Meyer, an environmental writer at the magazine, decided to call every state and find out how many tests had been performed, plugging the numbers into a spreadsheet. While federal officials were talking about having distributed millions of tests, the 2 journalists reported on March 6 that fewer than 2,000 people in the U.S. had been checked for COVID. Soon after the story published, Madrigal heard from an old friend, Jeff Hammerbacher. He and Madrigal had attended Harvard together. Madrigal got an English degree and became a journalist. Hammerbacher studied mathematics and went on to start the data team at Facebook. Unbeknownst to Madrigal, Hammerbacher, who now helps found biotechnology companies but previously worked in medicine, applying data science techniques to research, had his own spreadsheet. He posted it online, kept updating it, and got feedback from readers. I guess I'll keep doing this, Hammerbacher recalls. When Madrigal's first analysis was published at The Atlantic, Hammerbacher emailed him, "Hey, did you guys use my spreadsheet for this?" Madrigal and Meyer's sheet was full of quotes from health department officials, while Hammerbacher's set was set up to become a proper database. They decided to team up until the data from the government got better. Co-founder Aaron Kassane, an editor and community manager who works in journalism and technology, joined around this time. They thought the project would last a week or 2. We just sort of figured, of course, the CDC would put out this information, Madrigal said. But it just never happened, end quote. Search for the COVID tracking project on Google Scholar, which compiles academic literature, and you'll get more than 500 results, a sign of its standing in the scientific community. The project has helped force states to improve their disclosure of COVID data. In April, it started giving states letter grades on the quality of the data they reported. At first, only 10 states got an A or A+. Now 40 states and territories have reached that grade. The project is a demonstration of citizen know-how and civic dedication at a time when the country feels like it's being pulled apart. Yet it's confounding that almost a year into the pandemic, the COVID tracking project is doing what might be expected of the U.S. government. It's kind of mind-boggling that it's fallen to a group of volunteers to do this, says Kara Schechtman, one of the project's early volunteers, who's since become the paid co-lead for data quality, end quote.